to the Zero Barriers podcast.
All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Zero Barriers podcast. I feel like I'm leaning down a little bit today. I don't know if it's my chair. I normally feel like this podcast is. There we go. I'm lower to the ground now. Maybe one a bit higher. Anyway, welcome back to Zero Barriers podcast. I've lost track of what episode this is, but the last episode was on What did we do it on, Charlie? Charlie's back. Hello,
What?
Charlie.
Charlie's back. I never went anywhere in life. I don't know
That's
what
true.
you're talking about, bro. I'm right where I
We talked about why men don't open up.
Oh, yeah, we did. And I completely embarrassed myself, as I usually do on this podcast. So from now on, Charlie will not say, I'm not really going to, there's a bit of a leash on me.
And we went deep. No, we went deep into some good stuff, but it went well over an hour, and I think that's why Charlie went a bit crazy by the end, and we went on some tangents that probably weren't relevant. But thanks to those that listened. Again, a few people messaged me about it, so I appreciate that. Keep messaging me if you listen to it. I appreciate it. Maybe comment on the YouTube video though. I don't think many people watch the actual thing. I think a lot of people just chuck it on Spotify in the background, which is fair.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, today's guest, we have a guest again today, like I try to do every second episode. Normally it's just me and the guest, but with lockdown, Charlie's not doing anything, so he's stuck. Poor Lucas here is stuck with Charlie, has to put up with Charlie as well as me. But
no.
Welcome, Lucas.
Hey, how you going? I'm happy to be on.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get you on for a while. I'll introduce the topic in a second, but do you want to maybe just introduce yourself a little bit and also how you know me?
Sure. So yeah, my name's Lucas. Live in the Blue Mountains, football enthusiast, and yeah, I met Eli through football in coaching at a local grassroots club.
Yeah. And I think you did that for a few years, didn't you? Assistant coach and coaching and whatnot.
Yeah. I did a couple of years as an assistant, and then I took my own team for a couple of years, and yeah, that's where it started.
And yeah, you're still doing that. You're still doing your coaching. You're obviously at a much higher level now, which is good. It's exciting.
Yeah.
But I guess it all comes into play with what the topic is about today, which is the expectations versus reality. In particular, self-expectations. So expectations we put on ourselves versus the reality. I will say off the bat, I actually did an assignment on this. I chose to do so it was basically you could write any the unit was telling true stories. So you just had to tell a true story. So you basically just had to do a research thing and do some background information, do an interview, and then put all of it together. And I decided, you know what? This is going to be my article. I decided to do disappointments, grief, and the expectation trap. So I'm not particularly going to look into grief today, but we'll look into disappointment and I guess, what psychologists call it, the expectation trap. So I'm definitely going to refer to a lot of that today from that assignment. But I guess you guys will bring your own points to it and your own experiences. Particularly, I guess we'll just start off the top. Does one of you guys want to start with, I guess, like your own experience from when you were younger, and particularly what type of expectations you sort of put on yourself, and I guess the sort of feelings and emotions attached to that when maybe things don't necessarily work out the way you thought of they would, if that makes sense.
Yep, that makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. Of course.
Whoever wants to start, because we'll all go. I'll say my experiences last, if you guys don't mind. It'll probably be very similar to you guys anyway. But
So if you don't mind, Lucas, I mean, I guess by the age of 10, I'd made my mind up that I wanted to be a chef, and I was adamant on that. And all throughout school, I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm going to be a chef. I'm going to make it. That's going to be my thing. I'm going to work in Michelin-starred restaurants, travel all over the world, cooking really high level. And I left school. I did my apprenticeship as a chef, and then I was like, well, actually, this isn't what I was expecting. Like, my expectations of it being a chef was so high that when I actually became a chef, I was like, oh shit, I don't actually want to do this. What do I do now? So it was like, imagine it as a balloon, like, blown up, and then just suddenly popped, and I'm left with nothing. Like, my whole life, I'd been working towards that one goal, and then to realize that that's not what I want to do was just like sort of, I don't know, really depressing fact. And I'm still trying to work out what I want to do now, really. So yeah, I think it's very dangerous setting yourself on one goal, one target in life. I think you need to always keep an open mind, and I think you always need to keep all your options open, really. But yeah, I guess it's just dealing with that now and trying to work out where I want to move in life, really.
And I think it's not like, yeah, it's like you say, having lots of options. You not just having a plan B, but maybe having a plan C, D, and E as well, right?
Correct. Totally. Yeah.
All right, Lucas.
Well, yeah, I'll go. Sure. So obviously, yeah, I work in football in some capacity. When I was a kid, I played, and to be honest, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life maybe till my mid-20s or maybe even later. That I think football was the thing for me. I always loved the game, and I did things around it like personal training certificates. Like I did a little bit of coaching before I got into it really like a lot. I loved video games and music, so I always thought, there's different avenues I could take. And yeah, I always remember like turning 16, I'd be like, all right, but when I'm 18, I'll know what I want to do. Then 18 would come along, and I haven't really figured it out yet. Maybe 21. And then I repeated that process, and then maybe mid-20s. Even now, I'm a bit more focused on, a single purpose or what I want to do. But you never know. So yeah, it's tough. Those two, self-expectation. Trying to meet what you set yourself with those targets.
Yeah, and I think yeah, I think a lot of us kind of like, we think we're gonna make it. I guess everyone wants to make it, I suppose, quote unquote, make it, because we all want to achieve things, and I don't know, be big and be the best. And you see these people, like I'm sure, Charlie, you've seen all these chefs. You would have seen all these chefs when you were younger, and you would have idolized that, and you would have looked up to that, and then. And then when you're not exactly in that position, or like you said, Charlie, you just didn't enjoy it as much as you thought you might have. It can kind of like rip you apart a little bit, and it can kind of make you feel a little bit disappointed in how things sort of turned out. I'll go down a different route, like going away from jobs and whatnot. I actually set an expectation when I was a kid that I would be married by age 22. Now, I don't know, that's so early, but you gotta I mean, my parents got married at 23, so I just kind of grew up thinking that was a norm. And, I'm the youngest, and my parents had me at 27, so that's still pretty young by today's standards. A lot of people don't have kids till past 30 now. And yeah, I honestly thought, yeah, I'd be married by 22. I'll have kids 24, 26, 28. Like I'd set it out so specifically, and honestly, like all of these expectations are yet to be achieved, and I don't think they'll be achieved anytime soon. I think like that kind of, it doesn't necessarily hurt, because I'm like, I don't really want that right now, but it can feel kind of disappointing that you didn't, you know, that things didn't work out the way that you necessarily wanted to. I think like disappointment's inevitable. It's part of life. But it's kind of how you go about sort of dealing with it, I guess. I don't know about you guys, but personally, the best way I think to, like, whenever you're kind of disappointed about how things worked out, or I don't know. I don't know if disappointed is even the word for it, because I mean, from your experiences, you guys seem to maybe not necessarily know what you're doing in life, because I guess no one really knows what you're doing, but you kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're kind of content with where you're at right now, maybe? Or am I wrong?
No, I disagree with you, Eli. I'm definitely not content with what I'm doing right now, because I'm still in some respects still lost in terms of career and progression. Like, so no, because I mean, when I'm honest, like, that was actually my one and only goal in life, was to be a chef. Like, to the core, really. And then to have that realization that, this isn't what I want to do, was, really, I'm still dealing with it. That's still a challenge. So, I'm still, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm still stuck in that respect.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, okay, so here's an example for you. Vincent Van Gogh, right? You guys know exactly who that is, right?
Van Gogh.
Fame,
Yeah.
Van Gogh, correct. I always said Van Gogh.
I'm joking.
Is it Van Gogh or Van Gogh?
I don't know. He was Dutch, so who really knows?
Well, I went to the museum, the Van Gogh, Van Gogh, Van Gogh Museum in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, right? Uh, Pretty good experience, but and I think it came to Sydney like the live exhibition last year. Really not the same. I don't know why anyone would say it's even close to being the same, because it was not even the paintings. It was just like an exhibition of, I don't know, they got like a projector of his work and put it on a wall, basically. But anyway, point is, he was not known when he was alive. Absolutely poor. Um, no one knew him. He was considered like
An outcast, a social outcast.
pretty much. He chopped his ear off and then killed himself. And he
Yeah.
died not knowing how successful his art would go on to be. Pretty tragic, but a very good example of like, maybe he's not necessarily, maybe he didn't set those expectations for himself, but I guess for such a successful artist, you would think that maybe his career goal, well, I don't even know if he'd say career back then, but he would have been driven to to such an extent of like, okay, this is where I want to go. Like, I like my paintings. I'm going to keep doing it, because he did so many paintings and he was just such a failure. And then he ended up killing himself. And then after he died, he became so successful. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but
Football players, they set, and not only the players themselves, but the club, the fans, they set very high expectations for these guys. And when they do lose, it's like, it's the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, Lucas, can you add into that? Do you think players and fans set very high expectations? And
Yeah, they sure do. The Euros that just finished are a big example of that, with the English, the England, and especially the English media. Geez, it's crazy. Even as a player, and as a coach, they set very harsh expectations of themselves, and I don't know. I don't even know. As a coach, I don't look at it that way. I don't even know how they'd handle that mentally and emotionally when they don't meet their targets. Because it's such a cutthroat sport, and all sports are like that. I guess you can see when they do make it, or they achieve goals, like how rewarding and how emotional it can be for them. They break down in tears. It's amazing to watch. But also, other side of the coin, when they don't make it, they lose a final or they cut from the squad. It's not great. Yeah.
I think for outsiders, it can seem all a bit of a show, but I guess it really is. I guess there is so much pressure on these guys And we think it's all very well. They get paid a lot. They're just playing soccer at the end of the day. But
Yeah.
actually, this is it for them. This is a bit like this is a bit like their cooking. If it's not this, then what else is it?
Yeah, yeah. And I imagine that being a chef is pretty similar to being a coach or a player. You got to work within a team setting. There's people you get along with, people you don't. There's different restaurants, different styles. It's the same as it's pretty similar in a lot of themes. But I agree. Yeah.
It is, yeah, it's for all sports as well. I know fans put a lot of pressure on the players, and on the club as well. They put so much pressure to perform well, and when they don't perform well, it's like, well, you're rubbish. Why should we support you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we've got to change that mindset. I think that's a conversation that needs to be had more. The pressure that is put on high performance sort of athletes, because they are. I mean,
I think you can argue two ways about that, though. You can actually make the point that they get paid so much that they should be able to handle, the pressure, and they should be able to handle the expectations. But you should also look at the other side, and this is the side I more agree with. I was just making the other point because it is a fair point. They make millions, some of these football players, but you look at the other side. They're human beings. Now, going back to the England, what's happening like over in England at the moment with a lot of these, so a few of these players that miss the penalty are being racially abused. Big thing in the media at the moment, because these are like black men, and like Marcus Rashford is one of the nicest guys off the field. I know you would know this, Lucas. What he did last year for like families and children. He donated I think 50 million pounds or something. Wasn't it raised like 50 million pounds, something like that?
Yeah, he's a huge activist for humanitarian rights and making sure that his local community, and not just his local community, but I'm pretty sure it's all of Britain, that he's young too, so he's one of the good ones, to be honest. And he's a United player, and I actually really like him. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and I think and also to the point, I think it's really hard because you chuck an umbrella. Going back to the point you were making, Charlie, like it's really hard when you've got like you're under this cloud of you're a national team player, or you chuck the England association with these players, or the Australia, or any country particularly. You're representing an entire nation, and it's still bad for teams. Like, there's still a lot of pressure on just single teams. I mean, look at Liverpool. For so long, they didn't win the Premier League. And then, obviously, you're a massive Liverpool supporter, Lucas. And then when they finally won it, it was just insane because fans were just waiting so long. And I think English fans can relate to that as well. I mean, one major trophy in history, international trophy, and that's 1966. So anytime they come close, there's just all this pressure that mounts. All of the, it's coming home slogans come out. Everyone gets so behind it. And then when they don't reach that goal and that expectation, I'm sure it's crushed a lot of these players. I mean, look at Harry Kane. He plays for Tottenham. He's been in so many domestic trophy finals now, and continental trophies, Champions League final, Carabao Cup final. I think he's been in an FA Cup final. So that's 3 major trophies. Finished second in the Premier League, I think twice, maybe, since he's been there.
Champions League final.
Yep. And then he's gone and lost a World Cup semi-final and a European Championship final. Like, it's hard. And these are just all these fans that are just. And I think, to be honest, for someone that follows England, you can look at English fans and go, hold on a second. They put a lot more expectations on these players than probably what us Aussie fans do, And maybe that's this whole expectation trap that they set, that they go, they probably think England's better than they are. And to be fair, they have a very good squad at the moment. And within the next 15 years, it's very achievable for them to win either a World Cup or a European Championship. But as an Aussie, I look at us going to the Olympics, our football team. We got Argentina, Spain, and Egypt. We got no chance getting out of that Olympic group. I can look at that and be content, while English fans are just very, very focused on, we've got to do this. Like, we've got to win. And in 2014, they didn't even get out of the group stage of the World Cup. So it's interesting how I think it varies from nation to nation and team to team. And I think I know like some African fans you see on Facebook are crazy. Like, I think I see a lot of Nigerian fans on Facebook a lot, and they're very crazy. Spanish fans. So yeah, and obviously this goes way beyond sport. It's a really good example that you've brought up, Charlie, because it's very relevant. Because it's like,
Especially for the younger fans, I think they've got to learn that, yeah, they lost, but that's okay. You do lose sometimes in life, and you need to pick yourself back up and continue going. That's not the end of it. Do you know what I mean? So I think we need a stronger emphasis on it is important that when you do fail, that you pick yourself back up, you reset your target, and you're like, yeah, okay, where did I go wrong? I'm going to learn from that. Constantly learning from your mistakes, building yourself back up, picking yourself back up to then go and achieve that, go and achieve those new targets. So I think that's really important. And I want to see more of that actually on social media, because I think that can relate back to mental health as well. Always keeping a positive mindset, always remembering that it's okay to fail. Everyone fails. Everyone has their off days, but you've got to continue forward. You've got to be pushing forward. So I think we need to drive that message a bit more, really.
yeah. So I got a couple questions for you guys to answer. Do you think I'll start off with this one? Do you think we set unrealistic expectations on ourselves? Because I guess you've sort of already answered if we set them on other people, but what about ourselves?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we absolutely do. We absolutely do. In short, you know what? It wouldn't be right if we didn't. It would be something wrong if we didn't put pressure on ourselves to achieve, our targets or whatever we have, whatever our motivation is. Because then you just wouldn't be doing anything with yourself, would you? Really, if you didn't have any goals in life or any targets in life, then you'd sort of, I don't know. I guess I don't know if there's not anyone out there that doesn't have a dream or doesn't have a target, or even if it's small. I mean, everyone's achievements are different, and everyone wins in a different way. But that doesn't matter. Regardless, we need to. Yeah, I was going on before. Yeah, regardless, like it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you still need to remember that it's okay, but you've still got to pick yourself back up afterwards. Do you know what I mean? Lose a game, yeah, you still need to pick yourself up afterwards. It's just basic stuff, really.
Yeah, I think with setting targets or expectations of yourself, and I've experienced this, you do miss out sometimes on really, really like precious and unique moments in life. Like not that, so you're not living in the moment because you're thinking about, that job interview next week or that game next week or that essay next week you got to do instead of, spending good time with your friends and family. And I used to be more that than where now I'm more like, you do your best and stuff, but whatever will be. You can affect what you can affect, but the things that you can't, you just let it be, and you enjoy life as it is in the moment. Because I'm 30 now, but yeah, 10 years like it goes so quick. So you gotta live in the moment, as well as, set your targets. So there's a balance, I think.
What do you tell your players when they do, lose a game? What do you usually say?
Well, straight after the game, yeah. So usually after the game, as a coach, it's very hard to give feedback because it's right in the moment, win, lose, or draw. So I usually wait till the following training session to really, because the drive home is the reflection time, and I really think about the game, and then I can watch the video back and do more reflection and review. And then on the if the game's on a Sunday, then the Tuesday night training, I really dive deep into the game. But of course, there's been situations where we've been flogged and I've lost my temper completely, and also when I've won the game and told them everyone had a great game. So it can change like that. But the reflection and leave it alone one is probably the best process I've used so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That
would you
should
go?
be.
Oh, go on.
No, so I'm guessing that could be applied to any situation in life.
Yeah.
Reflection and take the time out to. It's not always in the heat of the moment, like having an argument with anyone. Not in the moment. Take time, step back, reflect on it, and then you'll make a smart, conscious decision.
Yeah. It's very relative.
Would you guys agree? Like, would you guys say that it's healthier to have goals which turn into expectations? So basically, you set a
Yes,
goal
mate.
that I'm going to do this. So I finished uni this year. I should have a full-time job next year. Now, it didn't start with I should have a full-time job next year. It started with my goal is to have a full-time job next year. But it turns into an expectation because you just run that through your head so many times. And I'm just wondering if you guys think that's healthy, or if you should sort of bring yourself back down to earth, shall I say, and be like, hold on a second, this is a goal, not an expectation. I should just be setting out I should be I should be striving for the goal, but I shouldn't make it an expectation. I mean, I guess you have no control over some of that, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I've definitely had situations where a goal has turned into an expectation in a race against time to fulfill my, expectations of myself. But yeah, I think it's not healthy to do that because, like I said, you miss out on parts in life where you're out spending time with family and friends, and also exterior things like friends and family and who's around you can affect the way you see self expectations and goals, because you might have friends, and I've had this told to me 100 times, like, you're never going to be a coach full time, especially here in this country. It's never going to happen. It's like 1 in a million. I got a better chance of doing a collaboration with 360.
If anyone doesn't realize, Lucas looks like 360.
But that is so important, Lucas, because anyone who's made it in life has been told at some point you're never going to make it. So it's keeping the mindset that shut out all the haters. Obviously take feedback where feedback is due, but always push yourself, just constantly going for that goal. But it's got to be in a healthy way. So when you do fail, you're not like, oh, that's it. It's all a disaster. It's like, okay, why did I fail? Let me review it. Think about it logically. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to attack these things smart. You've got to have a game plan. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just go about it free mode. You've got to be smart. You've got to have a lot of logic behind it.
Well, there's psychology around it as well, because there is a massive dopamine, and you guys would know exactly that feeling when you hit a goal, even if it's just the smallest thing, how proud you feel, and that dopamine hit that you get, and you feel it physically, you feel it mentally, and you go, this just feels incredible. Like, and I think the whole point of life is just setting out goals. It's just about kind of managing them, making sure they're not too unattainable, I suppose. And yeah, like you said, Charlie, being prepared for disappointment, I suppose.
But seeing that not as a failure, though, that's what I'm trying to get across. It's not a failure. You know, if you do fall down, you pick yourself back up. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, you see all these people having a whinge about it on Facebook. Oh, I failed at this, or blah, 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 whatever's happened to me. Sure, that's happened. That's bad. But how can I get past that? Stop going back over the past. Stop bringing up stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you got to drive forward
And
and
just be realistic.
and just be realistic with yourself. You know, I'm not going to be a spaceman, but I can have bigger and better goals than currently what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? And the emblem of Australia is the emu and the kangaroo, two animals that can't go backwards, constantly going forwards.
That's,
Like
that's really good.
It's
I
true.
like
No, it's
that.
true.
I like that.
Juliet, no, I didn't actually say that. I believe what prime minister said that? I don't know. Some Aussie prime minister said that. Moving forward. Who was that? Was that Julia Gillard?
I don't know.
Was
Mate,
that Kevin?
I think you should stay away from the food and get into politics, to be honest.
But it's so true though. It really is true. You know.
Well, the
Yeah.
thing is, okay, like here's a good way to look at it. If I want a coffee, well, I don't even really like coffee that much. I'm gonna say, if I want a hot chocolate, I can't think it into existence,
Yep.
right? But I could get up and go make one, and then it's done. I mean, obviously, life's a lot more challenging than that, but magical thinking gets you nowhere. You've got to be, you got to make sure that those goals are attainable. So I guess I'll ask you guys, how do you manage expectations and goals?
Did you want me to go? Okay. What I do, again, I'm approaching this in a logical sense. I write out positive and cons. What's the word? Like do's and don'ts sort of thing. Sort of the positives and the negatives. Yeah. I'll write that for regardless whatever the situation is. Okay, so maybe I need a new car. I'll write a negative and a positive list. A negative, I can't really afford it. A positive, well, it would help me go to that new job. So I look at all of that. I sort of, I look, does it all add up? Does it make sense? And if it does, then yeah, I go and achieve that. I go and set that for myself. So yeah, I always write it down first. Any problem I have, always write it down. It helps when you can see the problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, it helps when you have something in front of you that you can actually see. Yeah.
Yeah. So managing your expectations and goals? Is that the question?
Yeah.
I just before the start of every season or pre-season or could be halfway through, I just set myself targets or goals that me or the staff or players and stuff, and I manage them so they're achievable. There might be one or two that are pretty reaching for the stars kind of thing, but I think like you said, picking yourself back up, those ones you can repeat. That could be winning a championship or finishing in the top 2 or something. You can build on that for next season.
Do you write them down? Is there what do you do? Do you write this down? Is there a book or is there
so I do my own, and then me and the assistant coach or assistant coach and coach, and then we might share that with the players, and then we get them to write down their goals and expectations, and we come up with individual and collective ones. And it's actually great to do that, and especially at the end of the season when you reflect on them and you can read them back and see if we achieved our goals. And it can be, like Eli said, with the dopamine, it can go either way. Like it can feel so good or not so good. But yeah, I've definitely gotten a lot better at managing my expectations and goals compared to 10 years ago when I was a lot younger, because I wanted everything that now, when I wanted it tomorrow and in that year or whatever, and it just wasn't happening. So as you get older, you learn that it's a process, and the time frame can change for everybody, I guess, but depending on what you work in. But yeah, I think it's just about being patient and surrounding yourself with people that understand what you're fighting for and what you want to achieve.
Would you say getting rid of people that don't support a healthy environment, like who aren't really supportive of what you're doing, or I don't know. I guess for me,
Wait, can I interrupt? What do you mean by getting rid
sure.
of them, though? What do you mean getting rid of them? Just like
no,
pushing someone away. Yeah. I know what you mean. It was weird how you said it. You just mean like getting them out of your life.
Cutting them out of your life.
Yeah.
Cutting them out of your life. People with like negative attitudes and sort of, who aren't healthy, who aren't really, I don't know, who aren't, you're not going to benefit from them.
Yeah. Well, I have friends that say, yeah, you're gonna achieve your goals and you're gonna be a coach somewhere big someday. But then I've got other friends saying, mate, you really need to start looking at a different career path because it's not going to happen. So yeah, I think it's good to have both, because the ones that say you're not going to make it, they might bring you back down to earth and keep you humble, and then you've got the ones that say you're doing a great job, and that's the dopamine hit, and you feel great. So I'd probably say, you have 75% of the positive people, and then 25% of the realists.
Yeah, you can call them that.
Having the balance, which is healthy, I guess. Yeah.
And you can't shut out people just because they have that outlook, because some people are just generally negative. They might still be really good friends, but they just have a negative overview on life.
Yeah.
So,
that's true. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
We will have to finish soon because I'm just keeping aware of the time because Lucas is going to go in a second.
This is such an interesting topic, Eli. It really is, because there's so many areas that we can go into.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I look, here's a great question to ask, because this is something I always bring this up in conversation. Why are lottery winners never completely happy? Okay, like. And here's the thing. I think the people that buy lottery tickets are people that are terrible with money. And when they win, that's so savage. I hope no lottery winners are listening to this on their bloody speaker and whatnot. No, but seriously, like, it's such a question, and another good question to ask, and I want you guys to sort of try and answer this as well, is why a silver medalist? I always bring this up as well. Why a bronze medalist, normally are happier than silver medalists?
Ooh.
Great philosophical question that
yeah, the lottery one, yeah, I don't know. When I think of lottery people, I think of people that play the pokies like on a constant basis.
They probably are the people that play the poker.
Yeah. I think those people love the rush of winning something completely against the odds. Like pokies are terrible odds. Lottery tickets, I have no idea, but they're probably not great either. But yeah, why aren't they not happy? Geez, that's a good question.
Because they're not content with themselves.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, maybe it's because money can't complete you. It's
Yeah. Is that a bad goal to have? Winning the lottery? Probably. I don't think that's a goal. I think that's a wish.
Yeah.
What
Well,
about the bronze medalist one though? Because in my opinion, I think it's because if you get gold, obviously you've won the whole thing. You get bronze, you're happy to be on the podium. While silver, it's like, well, hold on a second, I just missed out on being the best in the world.
good example of that. So the Euro final, I was
Oh.
watching the players collect their medals and seeing who, like the England collecting the runners-up medals, and I was looking at the players and how they reacted, and you could see, so like most of them instantly took the medal off. They didn't want anything
Yeah.
to do with it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the pundits on the call are saying they should be so proud. You hold your head up high. You know, this is a good era for England. It's not all over. You know, a lot of and football trophies these days seems like it's everything, but it's not. Like playing for a club that you love and scoring goals or stopping goals, that should be happy there because you're doing what you love. The trophies and individual accolades are just the cherry on top, you know, because only one team can be the winner at the end of it, and you know, for the other 19 or teams or whatever, it doesn't matter what comp, you know, there's got to be more to it than just trophies.
It's a good way to look at it.
yeah.
Lucas will have to go in a minute. Do you guys have any final remarks? We could delve a lot deeper into this because there's so much
You
to
know
say.
what? I think we should do a part 2, Eli.
Yeah, maybe we should do a part 2.
Lucas, are you keen to join that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. This topic, I think we've just kind of touched the surface on it. To be honest, I think we could do a part 2 for sure.
For sure. Let's pause it there today. But yeah, I'm more than happy to do a part 2.
All right, well, we'll do that then. We'll lock that in and organize that sometime in the next week or so. Stuck in this terrible, awful lockdown that's just going to go on and on, I feel, at this point.
2 more weeks, hey? Yeah.
2 more weeks will turn into 2 more months, and next thing you know, it's Christmas. No,
It's December.
fingers crossed. I do not want to go into a 100-day lockdown like Melbourne did, but
no.
Did they go for 100 days?
100 days.
Did they actually?
Yes, it would drive me insane. It would drive me insane.
Eli, I think
Cut that out. No. So yeah, if you've listened to this, thanks for listening. Make sure to message me. Message me your thoughts and maybe any expectations you've set on yourself. I'll tag Charlie. Actually, Charlie doesn't like being tagged.
No, Charlie doesn't like being tagged.
I'll tag Lucas in the post. So I'll make sure you can.
Yeah, tag me and I'll share it and stuff as well.
Yep, and I guess we'll continue this in a part 2 soon. Will we make it the next episode? Maybe, or will we come back to this in a few? I guess we'll work it out. But thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Zero Barriers Podcast, and on YouTube it's just under my name, Eli Maynard. And yeah, message me any feedback you guys have, and if there's any points you want us to bring up about in the part 2. Also, Lucas, I like to do this little segment when I remember, and Charlie knows exactly what I'm about to say. Yes, we'd like to do a little segment called Life Hacks.
Yeah.
Do you have a life hack that you could share? Like any little hack in life that you could get ahead in life?
So something to get you forward.
It could be anything, just like, something that could save you 5 minutes, like putting those cups in the dishwasher that probably shouldn't go in the dishwasher. Something small like that, or like something significant.
Macca's drive-through sort of hacks or whatever.
Yeah, okay. Be diplomatic. That's my usually what I say to people. Be diplomatic in situations. It saves you a lot of time and grief for sure.
Okay. Yeah,
Alright.
smart. Very smart.
Easy.
Smart.
All right.
That's
Well,
it.
on that note, we'll end the podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. We might make this the next. We might make part 2 the next episode, but this has been officially part 1 of expectations versus reality.
The very first podcast Eli doesn't have to edit.
Yes. You know why? Because Charlie didn't go on a tangent. All right.
you go.
Thanks for
All
listening, guys, and thanks Lucas for joining us. And we'll see you in the next one, man.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool.